Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to our media conference. There are three aspects that I'd like to cover off today. The first will be naming of the two deceased and providing some detail about their military careers. Secondly, I wish to provide the media with a greater understanding of the event, updating some small details from our release over the weekend. And then lastly, I'd like to outline some further events from Afghanistan that's occurred in the interim. But before I go into the details, I'd like to invite the Minister of Defence to say a few words.
Thank you, General. Good afternoon, everybody. Look, it's always a very difficult day when the names of NZDF personnel who have been killed in action are released, and today is one of those days. I just wanted to reiterate the government's condolences to the families of the two deceased personnel. It's obviously a terrible time for them, and it's also going to be a very tough time for the families of all personnel serving in Afghanistan. Also want to say that we wish the 6 wounded men a speedy recovery. They're in good hands, and we're looking forward to them being safely back home before too long. In terms of the men that were killed in action, their families can be extremely proud of their service records, as you're going to see, and they've been part of a very important effort as part of the PRT in Afghanistan. PRT for a decade now has been providing security so that very important development projects can go ahead, and when these men died on Saturday night, they were carrying out a task that the PRT has been carrying out for many years now, which is providing security. It's obviously, on reflection, a very difficult time for people right across the NZDF. I spoke to Colonel Pete Hall, the commander in Barmyard, yesterday, but with the professional leadership there, they've got their rallying around. We had a call also from Leon Panetta, the US Secretary of Defence, this morning, and I spoke to the Australian Minister Stephen Smith yesterday. So we've heard from a number of partner nations, and the Prime Minister has also spoken to Julia Gillard last night. So I just want to say again, our thoughts are with the families of these two deceased servicemen, the families of the wounded men, and the families of all personnel who are serving overseas at this time.
It's with great sadness that I now reveal the names of the 2 soldiers who were killed. Lance Corporal Rory Patrick Malone, aged 26, and Lance Corporal Prali Dara, also aged 26. Lance Corporal Malone and Lance Corporal Dara deployed with the New Zealand Provincial Reconstruction Team in Bamiyan, Afghanistan in April 2012. It was for both of them their first deployment into Afghanistan. Lance Corporal Malone joined the Army Reserve Force in November 2002 and transferred to the regular force as a rifleman in September 2005. He posted to the 2nd 1st Battalion, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment, based in Germany. He was promoted to Lance Corporal in July 2011. Lance Corporal Malone had previously deployed to Timor-Leste in 2006 and again in 2007. Lance Corporal Dara joined the New Zealand Army in June 2004 as a rifleman and was posted to the 1st Battalion Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment, then in Linton. In September 2009, Lance Corporal Dara trade changed to a crew of the Royal New Zealand Army Corps and was posted to Queen Alexandra's Mounted Rifles, then based in Birmingham. He was promoted to Lance Corporal in September 2010. And Lance Corporal Dara had previously deployed to East Timor in 2006 over the 2006-2007 season. We inside the Defence Force are deeply saddened with this loss. On behalf of the entire New Zealand Defence Force, I again extend my deepest sympathies to both their families and also to their close friends within the military. Both Lance Corporal Malone and Lance Corporal Dara are now in Bugram Air Force Base while arrangements are made for their repatriation to New Zealand. The New Zealand Defence Force intends to return our fallen soldiers to their families as quickly as possible. We are receiving great support from our allies in making this happen, and I believe we should have them home by midweek. We will confirm those timings and details and arrangements at a later time when the detail is more certain. The New Zealand Defence Force is providing support also to the families of Lance Corporal Malone and Lance Corporal Durrow, which will be ongoing. And I have had a chance to visit Lance Corporal Malone's next of kin in Auckland. And will be visiting Lance Corporal Durrow's next of kin at the earliest opportunity. One of the families has asked the Defence Force to pass on a statement on their behalf, which you'll find attached to the media statement. Both families also asked for privacy at a time to grieve by themselves. The New Zealand Defence Force asks that the media respect the privacy of these families at this difficult time for them. The 6 New Zealand Defence Force personnel who were wounded during the incident all remain in a stable condition. At this stage I will not be releasing their names to protect their privacy, and we'll be talking with them as individuals about whether they are comfortable with their names being released at a later date. 5 of the wounded will be transferred or are in the process of being transferred to Germany, to a military hospital in Manstour. The 6th person will also be likely to travel when his condition improves. Plans will be made to repatriate those injured people back to New Zealand as they go. We're also reminded, I also wish to remind you of the 2 local security personnel who were killed in this operation and the further 11 personnel, including 1 civilian who were wounded. At this stage I have no more information on those people, the injuries of those people. But my thoughts are with their families and their colleagues as well. I now wish to quickly update the operation as we know it based on our last 24 hours of information, as well as some analysis of what that means for us. As we released yesterday, this operation occurred in the northeast of the province, south of the township of Doabi, and along the route which has been the target for most of the IED attacks over the last few years of our operations in Afghanistan. The incident occurred at Bakat village, where the NDS, the Afghan Special Police, Special Operations Police, were deploying, as we understand it, to arrest an IED bomb maker. The NDS were ambushed when they got to the site, and they suffered their 2 killed and the rest of them wounded at that time. They called up the New Zealand forces, and we got that message soon after 8 o'clock, and then deployed down. Our first team, which came from the south, Kiwi Team 4, operating on Humvee vehicles, arrived soon after 10:15, with the other 2 patrols, both light armoured vehicles based, arriving soon after 10 o'clock. Those 2 deployed from Romero and Doabi. But they had been preparing for other operations, and so needed to reorientate themselves. By 11 o'clock we had evacuated out the NDS casualties, and soon after that Kiwi Team 3, also a Hummer-based patrol, arrived in the area. At this time we then supported the NDS moving into a compound to be able to capture the rest of the insurgents who are holed up in that village. At about soon after 12, that building was taken, and our forces then moved to secure the area around it, moving up to the high ground to provide protection for the NDS, who would then start evaluating the operation and seeing how it's going. At about 27 minutes past 12, our troops who were moving out in that area came under contact. Both our casualties occurred in the first 3 minutes of that contact, and the timing was shown there. At that time, the Lance Corporal of note, Lance Corporal Malone received his fatal injury as he was going to assist the company commander who had been injured in that first round of fighting. Lance Corporal Durrow was a crew commander of a light armoured vehicle, and yesterday there was speculation, and we were unsure at that time as to whether he was injured in a rocket attack, an anti-armour rocket attack on the vehicle. We can now confirm he was shot with rifle fire, not anti-armour fire. He was the one who died during the evacuation. Lance Corporal Malone was killed instantly as he was trying to rescue his company commander. We were then spending the next couple of hours organising the evacuation of our wounded and our deceased. We were also then under sniper fire from the insurgents as they were moving up. This is the time when coalition air power came in terms of evacuation helicopters for the wounded, but also strike helicopters, attack helicopters to be able to protect our forces and suppress the insurgents, and there are also bombers circling around the area. One of the issues though with air power is they are not allowed to engage fighters on the ground unless those insurgents are directly in contact with us. These insurgents were moving away, so although they could be observed, they could not be engaged. The sniper though remained in the area, and it was the sniper who was providing us problems for the next couple of hours until he also moved further to the east. As we've reported yesterday, the aerial observation reported that the insurgents were moving away carrying wounded and dead with them. At this stage we do not have a clear or accurate picture of how many casualties we imposed on the enemy, but we did know that there were some casualties. It is probably likely that we will never know, and that's one of the things that our after action review will try and identify, but it's still going on in progress. So by 1620 the operation had largely concluded, and we then moved back. So as of yesterday we were saying, talking about the duration of the incident, it was a long operation, as you can see, taking most of that particular day. The most intense time for us was that short brief period in the first 3 minutes, most of our casualties, but also some of them over that total 8-minute period that our forces were caught as the insurgents were withdrawn. I wish to update our assessment on this circumstance. From our intelligence assessment, this was not us being targeted by the insurgents coming through. We assessed that they were trying to protect their bomb maker from the NDS, and that our quick response caught them on the hop. They were trying to do a fighting withdrawal, and once we captured the initial, recaptured the initial buildings and were pushing out beyond, we ran into their forces that were protecting the withdrawal of their team that was trying to evacuate out the IED column bomb maker. And the sniper was also evidence that they were trying to withdraw out of the area. This is consistent with the tactics that they've used in the past. They do not engage with us in a firefight, in a direct fight, where we have a bigger advantage of firepower, better sighting systems. However, there is another incident that I'll be reporting in a minute, which does indicate that some of their tactics are changing as they try and prove that they're still around in the area. Our overall assessment, though, is that the insurgent team took a battering of this fight, but that still doesn't remove tragedy from our own side of our 2 deaths and of our statistics. If I now move on to what's occurred since then. This morning, just before midnight Afghan time, our patrol base in Dalabi was also attacked by a group of insurgents. Our estimate was about 10 insurgents who closed in on our team site and opened fire with small arms and with rockets onto our site. We responded with fire, and we also deployed down from the Romero team site a reinforcement patrol. But after about an hour, or slightly less than that, the insurgents broke off that attack. These attacks are normally done in that manner only against Afghan National Police forces in the area. We estimate that this attack was to show that despite the injuries and casualties we caused on the first insurgent group, this second insurgent group launched this attack to show that they were still around in the area. It did not cause any casualties or any significant damage to our patrol base. We assess this is really just a show of force to show that they are still in the area. Lastly, I wish to conclude my comments by some issues about the value of what our guys are doing in the area from our military perspective. The Provincial Reconstruction Team has been, right from the start when they first deployed in 2003, been involved in helping the provincial government re-establish its control in the area, and part of that has been the security presence in the area. Early on, we were coordinating a lot of the civil aid programs, as that was taken up by more of the external humanitarian organisations, non-government organisations, or by New Zealand Aid. Our role has been more to push into providing the security in the area. It may not be widely known, but there are no Afghan military forces deployed in the Damian province, or even in the Baghlan zone over the Damian. The police forces in our area are local police forces that are recruited from the local villages and are not really a national police force as we know them. And so the provincial reconstruction team has been mainly focused on building the capacity of the security forces, that is the local police, the quick reaction force that we're trying to establish, as well as working with the NDS in our area to be able to take over the security role once we depart. But we also can be proud of the humanitarian effort that we put into the area. Certainly the number of schools, the capacity of the hospitals and the medical facilities in our area in particular has grown over that time. And therefore the support that we have of the local population has been built on the fact that we're good for this province. The Governor has been outstanding in the praise of the work that we're doing, and therefore the fact that some of the insurgents, mostly from outside the Barming province who come into our area, are targeting us, is also seen as an insult by the locals of Barming as it is by ourselves. We can certainly remain proud as a country for what we're achieving, and certainly I'm proud as a military person for what our guys achieved through the year. So at this stage, that's where I wish to conclude my comments in terms of the release of the people, the names of the two deceased, information about the repatriation of their bodies and the repatriation of the wounded people. Will confirm as we can clarify that, working with our coalition partners for their evacuation, and also the update that I've given you on our assessment of the incident, what it meant for our longer-term capability, and what it meant for the students in the area. At this stage, our intention is to not have another large media session to update and further information, but we will be putting up further releases to look into. My final comments, I wish once again to direct to the families of the two deceased and their friends. This is, as always, a tragic time for the Defence Force and for New Zealand. Our condolences go with them, and the Defence Force support will be with them over the next few days as we start preparing for funerals, and also over the next few years as we try and transition back to their normal life, which will never be the same for them. Can I once again ask your help in giving them the privacy for the next few days so they can breathe, so they can piece themselves together and start to be able to move on from this treatment forward. Thank you. I'll now open the floor for questions.
The IED bomb maker, that was the IED bomb maker that was the target at the beginning, was he captured?
That is information that we haven't got out of here. The primary reorganisation has been on our own system here, so that's information we've also been asked about. Don't have that.
Were the men tell the same thing?
No, they were two different patrols. One of them in KT4, the dismounted patrol, and one of them in KT2.
And how many of those other injuries were sustained by the crew in the lab?
It's about half an hour, approximately half an hour. At this stage, once we release the names, we'll be able to release also what controls they were.
Where was he situated in the lab? Was he driving position?
He was the crew commander, so he was out of the vehicle, observing around as the vehicle was moving to engage and to move up to us rather than the sun, so he was out of the vehicle.
The one that can't be transported to Germany at night. Is it true that he was shot on the neck?
That's our understanding, yes. That, so his injuries are a lot more substantial. He was initially reported as a priority 1, which is critical injury to a critical organ in the body, and so his ability to be able to move post-operation is focused. He will need a critical care unit to move between once the stable enough to move back to Germany.
Some reports have the Taliban claiming responsibility for this. Is that your understanding of intelligence?
There are several groups with different allegiances in the area. We've also seen that claim. Until we do our after-action review, we can't verify that one way or another. But it's, we are tracking a number of groups in the area. This was the larger of the groups. So until we can officially confirm that, we're not making comment on whether it was done. But they certainly claim that.
Just to be clear on the two soldiers who died, both were shot.
Yes.
And both, was it sniper fire, do you think?
No, no. These were shot in a fusillade or a volley of fire by insurgent forces that we estimate were there further back in the hills in the high ground over the site to protect the withdrawal of the people who were in the house.
And definitely not friendly fire.
Definitely not French.
So the incident where you'd seen would have been an example of an ambush already. Was it wise for these guys to get out of these vehicles? Was there not a suspicion that there might be snipers and others lurking in those homes?
That's part of our process we do, but this is a battle site. You cannot protect them to engage them, the enemy. You need to get out and operate the weapon system. So KT4 and 3 were lab-based patrols. They needed to get out of the vehicles to fight anyway. KT2 and 1. KT2 was the one the crew commanders fought. They are a mixture of fighting mounted, using the vehicles, weapon systems, as well as dismounting and using the sections as well. So we fight both mounted and dismounted. But that's the risk of that.
Given the attack last night on the base, the second attack, it must be very unsafe there at the moment. What sort of precautions, additional precautions are we taking?
The threats against us, against New Zealanders, are mainly IED-based attacks. We've got the firepower, the night vision, the mobility, and our protection of our vehicles where the insurgents will not face us in a firefight. It's been quite a few years since we've last been had to face direct fire. It was Tim O'Donnell's site was the last time we've been killed. Since then, with our light armoured vehicle deployments and a far greater concentration of forces in the northeast, they have not operated in that way against us. They have operated against Afghan police and the NDS, and that was the style of how they fought that particular battle. And that's why our assessment is our quick response caught them as they were trying to attack or kill the NDS. We respond, which is our role, protecting the police forces in the area, and we were caught up in that.
Given that Tim O'Donnell was the first one of the soldiers we killed in Afghanistan, obviously things are getting worse rather than better, aren't they?
Yep, can we flash up that first? If you'll see the road going from Bamiyan out to the right to the east, that's the main route out to Bagamil Force Place. It goes through Parwan Province. Parwan Province and that road has been a nest of insurgent activity for quite some time, quite a few years. A group from Parwan has moved up and joined the insurgents who are operating in Baghlan Province. And just over the boundary of Baghlan Province, that's the safe haven that they are operating in, and they cross over into our area. We've previously been able to outmatch the insurgent forces, easily outmatched that have come through. Over this last fighting season, this extra team coming from from Parwan Province have added expertise into that area, and therefore over the last couple of months there's been that far greater intensity of IED attacks. Part of the rationale behind that is that the insurgent community, not only Taliban but also the county, the Hegel group and so on, they feel that the insurgents haven't been succeeding well enough in our area. We're one of the first provinces to be transitioned over. So this is, we estimate to be a deliberate effort to say no place is safe, and therefore put a lot more effort into this approach over there. So the danger zone, which is that Dawabi to Gambak road, and up in the northern Kamar district where the coal mines are, where the money in that region comes, that's the main activity going through there. They said the main threat against us is the IED attacks. That's the only way that they can hit us safely from their side, but they certainly use their IED and ground fire, direct fire attacks against the
You said they've stepped up in the last couple of months. Have there been some attacks on our vehicles or our troops over that period? For IEDs?
Our systems, our protective systems, the training of our guys, so they're aware of where the attacks could occur, their ability to detect before they come to those areas has been able to counter those. So although there have been attempts against us, none have been successful, which is why they also turn against the Afghan security forces. But
yeah.
Sorry, your main point is, yes, over the last few months, because of this increase in capability up from Parwan, we have seen a rise in the capability of the insurgents.
And the
Could you
Duabe
describe
base
this,
is, sorry, the Duabe base is ringed by those police force bases up on the hills above it. I mean, do they not prevent that attack on the base itself?
They reduce the likelihood and as they go forward, but as you're aware, these are local police who are more trained at the lower level tasks, and during the night they largely stay where they are, and so their ability to provide security for us around here is less than it is during the day.
What do you describe this incident, this latest incident, what this was 10 insurgents advancing on the Duabe base with what guns firing?
Yes, what they did is occupy positions around it and just fired into the Campbell base. They didn't advance onto it, they weren't trying to capture the base or overrun it. Our assessment is it was really a show of force. They wanted to show they were still there. So they fired at us, they fired some anti-armor rockets at us, blind. We have protective, what we call Pasangers or the Vesco baskets, which are a large earthen foot basket around which provide protection against rifle fire, machine gun fire and anti-armor fire, and also masks what's inside there. So they were largely firing for the sake of making noise, firing, showing that they were still around, hoping to cause some casualties.
How close were they and how long did it go on for?
Went on for just under an hour, but no, they weren't. They were probably only 50 to 100 metres away from us.
And they fired some bombs in there as well?
Some of the rocket grenade launchers, the RPG settings, but no casualties, no damage, no significant damage to our buildings or our vehicles or injuries to us.
And you responded with fire too?
We did, yes, we've got the night vision equipment to be able to fire into the area. It's still night, in fact it's just coming into dawn now, it's 7 hours behind Afghanistan. And so during the day we'll go out and see what's going on.
Did they sustain any casualties?
At this stage we don't know, because we haven't gone out, we wait until daylight secured and the patrols from the north can come.
What can be done to root these guys out of Avon?
The main counterinsurgency method is disruption. In the counterinsurgency concept, we try and separate the insurgent from the people, so our presence in those areas and our ability to operate where they think their safe spaces are is quite important part. So how they operate is they will have weapons caches, they will have bomb-making factories, they will congregate and talk and plan. If we are around in the area, we can stop them being able to access their caches or to be able to assemble things. If we're there, we can also talk, try and gain informants or get informants. And if we're around protecting them, informants aren't vulnerable, so they're more likely to talk. But also, if we know roughly when these people are in our area, so if they're not around their villages, we can say, okay, we were here this last week. So we can start tracking who's there, who's not, as we go forward. So it builds up that intelligence picture. We can then pass it to the legal system so we can start making arrests as we go forward. But also, a second important part, if we are there in their home areas, they're not going to place their IEDs on the road for their kids, their brothers, their mothers drive on, and so they will more likely be disruptive in how they operate. So that's why presence, and increasing presence in the northeast was a change we made about a year ago. So we had far more patrols, so we have far more presence, be there, and that evolution of how we operate at this still continue.
But you still can't go into that.
We are negotiating, and we have been for a while, to be able to operate the Tarawadafa district of Dartmouth province as well. And we're getting close to be able to.
And so what would that mean? That you would be able to set up a base in there?
No, it's probably rather than a base, because that is a different district and a different zone. It's more our ability to cross over that boundary and do our patrols in that area there as well. So again, we disrupt, we're around every day, we do a patrol through the major villages, we can start talking through things. If that's where we're operating, rather than over in the zones where no one knows, then that's, as I said, we're not going to place their IDs where their families are at risk as well. With the hope of them disrupting their activities, and they have to move another 10 k's or a valley away, and that makes it more difficult to operate.
Did you say that one of the soldiers who was killed was going to help someone else?
Yes, the company commander of this operation was injured in this attack, and so this soldier went to his own.
Yeah, which one of the two soldiers was that?
Rory Malone.
Can you tell us where the dead soldiers are from, and can you give us an update on the condition of the wounded and how many are likely to come home?
At this stage, possibly all 6 will come home. Definitely 3, but 3 more seriously injured. 3 we're still doing an assessment on whether their rehabilitation will be able to go back into theatre. If it's more than a month or so, we'll ramp them up because we need to put the replacements up. So what was the other question?
Where the dead soldiers are from?
One is from Christchurch, one is
Which one?
one is from Christchurch. Sorry,
Which one is from?
Dara is from Christchurch, and Malone is from.
Can you tell us any more details about them? In
None of
terms
these-
of children, families?
Both are single. At this stage, for the family privacy, all I'll say is that both are from families where in last football Dara's case, both his parents have previously died, and so his next of kin were auntie and grandfather. And in Rory Malone's case, mother lives overseas, he's separated from father, and so brother is the next of kin. And again, the family is scattered throughout the world. Another brother in Australia.
So they're both Kiwis.
Yes.
So were captured, did you find any bomb-making equipment or bombs in those bombs?
That's all part of the after-action review and evaluation of operations. So
Given-
at this stage, that evaluation of the things we do capture is still being processed.
The soldier that was shot in the neck, is he likely to be able to use his arms and legs, do you think?
Again, that's the evaluation that we're still to get out of the medical system. Certainly the hospital that he was evacuated to is one of the best in the Afghan theatre, and the Lansdowne Hospital that we evacuated to in Germany is the best military hospital in the world, and one of the top hospitals in the world as well. So access to care to solve those problems is going to be the best thing we can get.
Given these recent attacks, how confident are you in the intelligence information that you're receiving about the insurgent activity?
We can never get perfect intelligence information, and these are professional insurgents that are dealing with. They are farmers who will pick up a weapon on the weekend and go on weekends. They are professionally trained insurgents who know how to keep their operational security and what activities we can pick up on the intelligence process. So it is difficult to get 100% information, but we do track them, and building up intelligence is like police intelligence. It takes a lot of information over time, particularly in an insurgency. It's not just the guy carrying the rifle who want to find out who's the bomb maker, where are the parts of it coming, where does the money come from, who actually sponsors that, who identifies the target, who the informants in the area around you. So it's the entire network that we need to build up. And that's a very patient process that we need to establish over a long period of time.
Can I ask if you're planning any further response after this? I mean, in 2 ways, I guess. One, to send any more labs or any more troops over to replace any that are killed or equipment damaged. And secondly, after the Tim O'Donnell incident, I recall that there was I think an SAS follow-up with the suspected insurgents.
Our intention is to replace the people in the provincial reconstruction team, so bring it back up to full strength. With the wounded and the 2 deceased, we've lost the equivalent of a patrol, so we do intend to build it back up to full strength. The details of whether we rebuild the entire patrols or just put individual reinforcements into the decision is still evaluating. In terms of our response, we're confident that we've got the measure on these groups that are going around here, and our actions over time will keep them in check while we're building up the capacity of the local Afghan security forces, the police and the NZDF, to be able to deal with it, which is our primary role. In terms of the SAS, the difficult thing is not necessarily the shooters, it's the gathering of the intelligence, and that's what we just need to patiently work hard. So at this stage, the advice is, well, even when the SAS were there, we still have to wait for intelligence to get through. We need to have enough that's trackable to be able to assert the site at a certain timing so we can respond effectively and not put civilians at risk to go through. So, no, there's no plans for, at this stage, any recommendations there are enough forces in Afghanistan to be able to deal with this. It's plugging into the intelligence system, it's continuing to work on that in a slow, methodical way with all our networks in there, that we can then inform the targeting system about doing the dangerous work.
Last question, please.
Would you need government approval to bring in SAS expertise to essentially go out and capture these guys? Would you need to go back to government, or
Yes.
could you make the order, we need this expertise
No,
over there?
that would be a change in mandate or a change in capability.
Look, we're not planning to send the SAS back to Afghanistan. Things would have to change radically.
Yeah, I'm talking about a
And we
small-
would be dependent on the professional advice, but the advice the CDF has given us is that that wouldn't be necessary. And we've said previously that would only happen if there was a major change in the landscape here, so we can't see that happening at this stage. But to answer your question, if the SAS were to go anywhere in the world, it has to be done through cabinet mandate. The CDF can't just deploy them without their cabinet.
But, so just follow up the last bit of that question. Constantly, we're always evaluating whether we have the capability to do things, and every provincial reconstruction team that deploys up there has had modifications to its structure, its capabilities. So we're always updating and plugging through. And as I mentioned, the intelligence plug-in and needs, so we can track, we can have the plug-ins to the decision-making process, are things that have been evolving over the last couple of years, and particularly when the SAS were doing, keeping the capability to plug into that wider network, that protective layer at a higher strategic level, was an important part of the restructure we did at that time. But we are always assessing, always providing advice to government about, we'd like a few more people in here, we'd like a UAV capability, or we'd like this or that, such as deploying to the labs when they came through, or unarmoring, or slightly extra people, different configurations. All those things are constantly being assessed as part of those after-action reviews of everything. And it's the deliberate process.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.